For a long time, I was told that if you use voiceover, that's a no-no. Like, somebody ingrained that in my mind. And I think the premise is that you have to have your characters do work for you, that you can't rely on a narrator to do it. So I kind of got paranoid that you shouldn't use a narrator. But all of my favorite films use a narrator and narration, and I always was paranoid to do it until now, where there was so much good stuff that character could say that was from the book, that seemed helpful to the story, and wouldn't step on it or irritate it or subtract from what was going on, but hopefully add to it at its best. And that was the idea there. That's Thomas Pynchon. That's you know, what he does in his books, is that you have the kind of I don't want to say literary because that's a bad word, but beautifully written and sort of profound and deeply felt stuff mixed in with just the best fart jokes and poop jokes and silly songs and stuff that you can imagine. So it's just, we were doing an adaptation of the book, and we were trying to do that. And so that's where that stuff comes from, is trying to be as faithful to the feeling of the book as possible.
If you're working with a great director, you feel very, very, very safe, because you know that all decisions and all directions of this film will be made months later in an editing room, and so you just feel completely loose. So what I loved is how many variations, and we go in the car, get out the car, go in the car, go out the car, try it again, say anything. I'd maybe improvise an approach to a line, and I'd say, Paul, should I do that again? Paul, should I do that again? Paul, yeah, do it! And then we do it again. And it was just, so it was really trying to create as many elements and colors and hues that could help Paul later on when he was putting it together. And that's a great freeing up, I think, as an actor, particularly if you're working with someone great.
I sometimes wouldn't necessarily know exactly what I was doing. I just sort of, you know, have to kind of rely on, I guess what you're sort of saying, that you kind of feel comfortable or safe that, you know, these decisions will be made further down the road, and you just try to do different stuff. But I don't remember a lot of improvising, but we were sort of, you know, encouraged to kind of do anything.
I feel like with Hope, we kind of just started with the words, you know, because they're so important in this film. And I guess that was a new thing for me, really focusing on the words and the narrative and the story, and just making sure, you know, before we sort of hit print, you know, that we have all of these, because, you know, he's such a beautiful writer, you know, that we have all of these little things that can kind of pull from such a giant source. And so I feel like it was really nice. I've never been able to collaborate in a way with a director, just sit down with the words and just see what feels right.
Most of my credits, you know, are on television, where, you know, they crack the whip and everything. It's just time, and then, you know, I get to this situation, it's like, you know, let's sit down and talk about this. I'm like, really? Did you just want me to just, you know, to perform? He's like, no, let's talk about this.
I feel like my particular character didn't lend herself to improvisation, because I had sort of a responsibility to speak for the actual text, not only when doing the narration, but even on screen. I felt sort of yoked by this sense that nothing should come out of my mouth that wasn't written in the book, or at least written in the script through, you know, a decision that was made by the writer.
I love so much about Paul's work, which is that it's anything and everything, and yet it's always his. And, you know, it allows a scene like in Dr. Blatnoy's office to be crazy, but then something else to be dark and mysterious.
I think someone said that in order to learn your lines, you need to repeat them 300 times. So by the end of the scene, we knew our lines.
This is the only movie, I believe, screening in 35mm. I was wondering if you'd like to talk about that. Yeah, I feel like a fraud because you just didn't see that here. It's playing tonight at the Alice Tully Hall, but luckily we're able to still keep that alive and keep that going. Just sort of something I started doing at the beginning, so it's just sort of the only way I know how to do it, and just been able to keep that up and have a great, nice print to show tonight. And all the nerves that accompany that. Everything could break easily, and that's kind of adds to the thrill of it all. And it looks beautiful. Just try to keep it alive a little bit longer, or not to phase anything out. Try to keep. There's room for both things. So it's just great. The projectors are still there. They're well kept up. Looks beautiful. Great. That should just be how it is. Nothing should go away.